Welcome back to Thriller Recaps. Today, I am going to explain an American action-adventure movie named Uncharted. Relax, and watch out for spoilers. A young guy named Nate and his older brother Sam breaks into a museum in Boston. Nate was about to fall out of the window if Sam hadn't caught him. The orphaned siblings are searching for a map created after the Magellan expedition, used to find an ancient treasure. Unfortunately, when Sam tries to pick the lock, he sets off the alarm and they are caught by the police. The children are taken back to the orphanage. Nate gets to stay, but since this is Sam's third red strike, he must be sent to prison. They gave the brothers a chance to say goodbye, so Sam takes advantage of this to escape. However, before leaving, he gives Nate his beloved ring to always be with him and promises to come and find him in the future. After Sam leaves, Nate finds a blank piece of paper in his brother's lighter and uses it to reveal a hidden message with words of love from Sam. 15 years are gone. Nate now works as a bartender in New York. He also pickpockets rich clients by getting close to them with random excuses, like helping a girl light her cigarette in order to steal her expensive bracelet. Nate still carries his big brother's lighter around with him, even though it's not working very well these days. While closing the bar one night, Nate was approached by a man named Sully, a fortune hunter who works tracking treasure hidden by the Magellan crew. He congratulated Nate on his pickpocket skills before offering him to join him on an incoming important work. Nate does not want to start a crime heist with a stranger and throws him out of the bar, only to discover that Sully took the bracelet from his pocket and left his visiting card instead. To get the bracelet back, Nate goes to the address on the card, sneaking inside the apartment by stealing the keys from the security guard. Sully was already waiting for him, and to Nate's dismay, he's in possession of the original Magellan's map, which is believed to be the only map to find the hidden treasure. Nate comments on the treasure's legends and asks if it's true. Sully admits this to be true. Sully asks Nate to join him on a treasure hunt trip to find the treasure which has been hidden by the Magellan crew. He also tells that the original trip of Magellan crew was financed by the Moncada family, and now their heir, Armando, and his son Santiago are still searching for the treasure. To help convince Nate to join him, Sully revealed that his brother Sam was his friend and even shows him a photo of him as an adult. Apparently, Sam disappeared after finding Magellan's journal, and Sully hasn't even heard from him since. Nate admits that guy in photo looks like Sam since he hasn't met him yet, so Sully points out that finding gold could also help Nate find his brother Sam. Nate still refuses to accept it, claiming that the brother he knew is gone. However, when he returns to his apartment, he opens a box containing some of his important memories, including letters and postcards from his brother Sam. Nate lied to Sully, saying his brother never contacted him again. He also found the ring, and after putting it back on, he decides that he wants to do this for his brother after all. Sully and Nate meet to plan their first steps. There is an auction coming up, and one of the artifacts they are auctioning is a cross that acts as the key to the chamber where the gold is hidden. The legend says there are 2 keys and Sully already has the another one, so they need to steal this one to start with. After demanding Sully to go 50-50 on the stolen gold, Nate spends his free time researching the building where the auction will be held and comes up with a plan. On the auction's night, Sully and Nate see a valuable red car and finding out that Santiago from Moncada family is also there. Therefore, the race for the cross will be fierce as Santiago considers gold to be his birthright. He is not alone. He has recruited mercenary leader Joe, who used to be Sully's partner before. She teases him when she sees him. The auction is about to start and Sully pretends to be the buyer while Nate gets the plan ready. Joe sees his suspicious behavior and sends her men to spy on him. By putting a gum on the digital lock, Nate successfully enters the electrical room. The plan is to cut the power so Sully can steal the cross in the dark. With Nate taking too long, Sully has no choice but to bet against Santiago, even though he doesn't have the money for it. Unfortunately, Nate is spotted by Joe's men and a fight begins. After throwing a few punches, Nate runs out of the room and decides to cause a distraction by jumping on the ceiling lights in the hall. Now the chaos breaks out and the cross has been taken away, so Sully turns his jacket inside out and pretends to be one of the security employees. As Nate was found and has been chased by the security, Sully puts his hands on the box with the cross and takes it away, saying he's in charge of taking the cross to the vault. But Joe saw this and goes after him. She manages to catch him and threatens him with a knife. At the same time, security find them and tries to arrest her for attacking an auction employee. While Joe fights the guards, Sully leaves with the cross. When Sully returned to the car, Nate was waiting for him and they decided to go to Spain together. On the plane, Nate gets to look at the captain's journal that confirms the legend. Magellan found a large amount of gold in the Philippines, hid it in Barcelona, and told the Moncada family that he had found nothing. Following the clues in the journal, they'll be able to find the location of gold, although so far the main clue is just a tree. When they arrive in Barcelona, they meet another hunter, Chloe, who manages to get another cross. However, she does not want to work with Sully, whom she considers to be a liar and a backstabber. After she leaves, Nate finds that she took their cross with her and chases her through the streets of Barcelona, though Chloe was fast and got into her car, ready to escape. Nate and Sully don't give up and catches her on time. They convince her to stay, noting she might have a cross, but they have the journal, so they're the only ones who know where to go next. They are all working together now. Nate takes them to the place indicated by the clue. In fact, it is not a tree, it refers to a church, part of its name is a pine tree and its logo is a tree. Meanwhile, Santiago confronts his father. Armando is on the news and says he'll donate all his fortune, admitting it's because their money is dipped in blood. Unable to convince him to change his mind, Santiago leaves and goes to meet Jo and orders her to look after Sully, as Sully has been seen around the city. Nate and the group rested before starting the next part of their plan. While Nate is in the kitchen, Chloe tells Sully that she guesses Nate is Sam's brother and asks Sully to tell him the truth about what happened to his brother, but Sully says he will do it when the time is right. The next day, Santiago once again tried to change his father's mind about giving away the property. When Armando refuses, Santiago follows him to his car and orders Jo to kill him. In the night, the group sneaks into the church pretending to be tourists, and Nate is shocked to learn that the postcards they're selling matches to the ones Sam used to send him. Following the symbols and words carved on walls and the floor, they found a secret button that Nate presses to open a hidden painting behind the Mary's statue. When Nate turns it over, it reveals a picture of hell. The altar reveals the keyholes for the crosses. Nate and Chloe use the key and turn them in anti-clockwise first, which shoots a series of arrows that nearly kill them. Luckily, they dodge in time and then try to spin clockwise, which eventually leads them to a hidden tunnel. The journal says one must be in heaven and the other in hell, so Nate and Chloe go into the tunnel with one of the crosses while Sully stays outside with the other. In order for Sully to know where he needs to go next, Nate puts a location tracker on his phone. Now Sully can track their movements, unaware that Jo is following him too. Nate and Chloe follow the mysterious tunnel that eventually leads them to a nightclub, and Jo's men are there too. Pretending to be a couple dancing, the two cross the room and head towards the bar, where Nate tries to start a fire with Sam's lighter. It fails again, thus Chloe helps him start the fire, and they now have the distraction they need to solve the puzzle carved on the wall behind the bar. However, Jo's men find them, causing Nate to get in a fight with them, until Chloe finally finds another keyhole, which she opens with the cross. A new secret tunnel opens in front of them. The two escape right before the tunnel closes again, leaving Jo's men behind. Through the tunnel, the duo came across a secret door under the fountain, and when they opened the door using the key, the room began to fill with water. Sully has to use the cross over the hole above the ground to save them, but the hole is behind thick protective glass. While he begins his work on breaking the glass, Jo shows up to steal the cross and a fight starts. At first it looks like Jo is gaining the upper hand, but with a quick move Sully turns the tables and throws Jo over the glass, finally breaking it. Sully puts the cross into the keyhole and opens the secret door so the two can escape, but only Nate comes out. When Nate learns that Chloe has passed out underwater, Nate goes back for her, and once they are both out, Chloe is surprised to learn that she was helped instead of getting backstabbed. The door leads them into antechamber. Nate uses his lighter to light up a torch, but it takes a few tries to do so. The chamber is underground, and Sully could see them through the water drains in the street. He also found a symbol carved into the stone indicating that two keys must be combined to open the next door, thus Sully throws the key he has through the drain so that the duo could reach it. Nate puts the cross together and opens another mysterious door, leading them to the Roman warehouse. Inside are 3 giant urns in it. For a moment the duo thought they had found gold, but in fact the urns were filled with salt. When they examine it, the urns breaks, allowing them to find the map in the salt. Nate takes notes of the route from Spain to the East Indies, but before he can discuss the possibility, Chloe grabs her gun and demands to hand over the map to her. Nate tries to make a deal with her, but Chloe tells him that he doesn't know the full story of what happened to his brother Sam and knocks him out to escape with the map. Soon after, Sully wakes up Nate. Nate demands to know what happened to his brother. Hence, Sully has no options but to tell the truth. He tells they together arrive at the captain's grave and find the journal, but on their way out they were attacked by Jo and her men's, and in the encounter Sam got shot. Nate realized that Sully escaped leaving his brother to die, and the only reason he finds Nate is because Sam must have given him some of the missing clues he was missing to reach the gold. Calling Sully greedy and selfish, Nate breaks off their partnership and leaves him. Later, Sully approaches Nate and tries to bring him back. Nate agrees, but only because he wants to finish what his brother started. Meanwhile, Joe goes to Santiago to report him what happened, only to find out that Chloe is secretly working for him too. Since she had been more successful, she will be the leader from now on. This makes Joe rather angry. Santiago and his crew gets things ready at his private airport, including his beloved red car, which Nate and Sully take advantage of to sneak inside by hiding in the trunk. After looking at the map and deciding on their route, Santiago explains how his family was betrayed and how he will be going to regain their honor, but Joe interrupts and kills him. Chloe panicked and tried to escape, so Joe and her men chased after her. Nate and Sully took the opportunity to steal the map. The plan is to also steal some parachutes and jump off the plane, but when they get to the cargo hold, Nate can't help but confront Joe and ask if she really killed his brother Sam. Sully jumps off with the parachute as Nate finds himself fighting the men as the cargo is pushed out of the plane. Joe's men find Chloe and engage her in a gunfight, which make it harder for her to escape with parachute. Instead, she decides to get in the car and take it off the plane, and when Nate gets back on the plane, Chloe pushes him out again. But she is also the one to grab his hand and guide him to one of the falling cargo boxes, dropping on top of it and opening its parachute, allowing them to land safely in the middle of the sea. The two drifted for a while, until eventually the waves took them to the Philippines, where they checked into a hotel using Sully's credit card. Chloe prints a map that follows the same dimensions as the real one, and Nate uses Sam's postcard to realize that the map does not show where the treasure is exactly located. Sully was right. Sam did try to leave Nate the last clue, so Nate and Chloe spent the night trying to decipher his messages. After a while, Chloe got tired and went to bed, but Nate refused to give up, and this turns out to go in his favor as he realizes he hasn't used the oldest trick in Sam's book. The lighter is not working, so Nate uses the candle to reveal the secret of the postcard, which tells him to use the cross as a compass. Nate does exactly that and finally discovers the correct location of the gold, writing the coordinates on a piece of paper before going to sleep. The next morning, Joe and her men arrive at the area, while Chloe wakes up first and finds the paper with the coordinates. She decides to take the note with her and leave Nate behind, but when Nate wakes up alone he doesn't look worried, because he left the note with the wrong coordinates deliberately, as he has already predicted that Chloe will betray him. Nate takes a motorboat to the cave indicated by the correct coordinates, not knowing that Joe sees him from afar while looking at the wrong place. Inside the cave, Nate swims in the water below and enters another cave, where two of Magellan's ships have been hidden for several years. As Nate finds the gold inside, Sully shows up in the cave as well, thanks to the tracking device on his phone. He tells Nate that his brother would be proud of him, but before they can talk further, Joe and her men show up, so the two hide in a secret compartment. With the help of two helicopters, Joe's crew got the entire ships airlifted out of the cave through a giant hole on top. Nate and Sully came out of hiding, grabs as much gold as possible together and also carry a dagger and a sword to defend themselves. They then went forward and attacked the crew until they overtook everyone, throwing them off the ship. Now Sully climbs the chains holding the boat in place and reaches the helicopter, where he pushes the pilot and takes over the control to fly away from Joe, who is on the other ship. Joe tells her pilot to follow Sully, causing the ships to collide. His men jump on Nate's ship and start fighting. Nate beat them up and stole some guns from them. He also found gunpowder lying around. Sully guides the helicopter through the narrow path of the cliff to escape from the chasers. But Joe is waiting for him at the other end, so he has to pull a very risky maneuver not to crash against them. But this is only a temporary escape. Joe and her ship are still chasing them, inspiring Nate to take extreme step. Using the gunpowder he found, Nate puts a cannonball inside the ship's cannon, and after a few failed tries, he manages to make Sam's lighter work and fires the cannon onto the other helicopter. Joe jumped off the boat before it hit the mountain and the helicopter crashes into the valley. Nate and Sully think they've won, but it turns out Joe jumped on their boat and dropped the anchor to prevent them from escaping. It's clear the boat won't hold on for long, and Joe and Nate exchange a few blows before Nate begins climbing the chain to reach the helicopter. Realizing Joe is chasing Nate, Sully finally decides to sacrifice his bag of gold by throwing it at Joe, causing her to fall into the ocean. Sully then helps Nate get onto the helicopter before the chains break. The ship falls on top of Joe, killing her. The boat floated for a few minutes before it started to sink. Nate figures they can dive on the location for treasure later, but that wasn't possible. The Philippine Navy unit are approaching, so the gold will eventually fall into the hands of their government. As the two flew away, Sully laughed when he saw Chloe trying to follow them on the boat, but is also saddened as they have to leave empty-handed. However, Nate surprises him by showing him the gold he's managed to hide in his pants. Meanwhile, somewhere in a prison, Sam wrote another note to Nate, asking him to watch his back, revealing that Sam is still alive and not dead. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.